Good evening. Um, this is Dr. Mitchell Palmer McDonald with Blacklight On Sports. And our guest this evening is a gentleman who is, and I was, and I probably still is, an outstanding athlete. He is also an administrator and educator. He's also a member of the Sounds of Blackness. And he's from the north side of Minneapolis, North Side Pride. And I'm just going to want to say good evening to Leonard Jones.
Good evening.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm blessed, man. It's
Blessed.
good to be here. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you too. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about what you do, what you're doing today,
Mhm.
and how that's impacting our youth.
Right. Currently, right now, I am a administrator at Park Center High School.
Mm.
I've been doing administration work for about maybe 12 years now. Just landed this position in the Osceola District this past school season. We had a successful school year, and I'm looking forward to next year school year as well.
Okay. What are some other things you're into?
Well, I am also a singer. I sing with the three-time Grammy Award winning Sounds of Blackness. What's up, guys? Uh, actually, we just came from a event in Gary,
Okay.
Indiana, just a couple, well, just yesterday, as a matter of fact. They had Juneteenth out there, so we did a performance out there with, featuring Jamesia Bennett
Hmm.
and the Sounds of Blackness. So, yeah, so I've been doing that.
How long have you been singing?
I have been singing with the Sounds of
Yeah.
Blackness for 9 years. This is
Okay.
my ninth year with Sounds of Blackness. I also sing with a group called M Fellas as well too, which is
Okay.
managed by Kirk Johnson, who used to be the drummer for Prince.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the other. It's like five of us.
That must be exciting.
That is so exciting. We actually do a lot of shows. We got Dakota, Chanhassen Theater, State Fair, different places like that. And we have a genre called the Minneapolis Men of Motown.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got some shows that are coming up. We're featured artists like Stevie Wonder,
Hmm.
the Jacksons, Temptations for a Top, Smokey Robinson. We just added the Spinners. So yeah, so
Okay.
it's a good deal.
Man. Now, you're also known for something else that you did in the past.
Okay,
And
it was good.
you ended up with the nickname Leaping Leonard Jones.
Absolutely.
And I'd want you to, let our listeners know, how that all came about.
So I'm gonna tell you the backstory how that
Yeah.
name actually came about. I don't even know if you even noticed.
Okay.
So in middle school, I was probably like 5'8", 5'9", or whatever. Um,
Where'd you go to middle school?
I went to Northeast and then I transferred to Ann Watton.
Okay.
So there was this guy who saw, that I had some hops. I was like the little short kid, jumping, hanging on the rim. He was calling me Leaping Lanny Popoff, the wrestler name from back in the day. So
Okay.
I took that. I was like, okay, I took that name. And then one day, my freshman year at Henry, we used to go downtown Minneapolis and get our names printed, the screen prints.
Mm.
So I put Leaping Leonard on a shirt one time, and then I was wearing around the high school at Henry, and everybody started calling me Leaping Leonard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I seriously never knew that at all.
Yep.
So how did you get where did you go from there? How'd you get into track and field? I know you had some accomplishments. You also played football from what I recall,
Yeah.
and you also played basketball.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experiences at Henry and then on the way through college.
So how I got into track, so I was playing basketball at Patrick Henry. I was like one of two freshmen that started, well, not started, that was moved up to the varsity.
Okay.
Myself and Dennis Winfield, rest in peace.
Okay.
We were the first two freshmen to move up to the varsity team. Um, but during that track season, I didn't run track my freshman year. I would just watch like, Terrell Johnson, Demetri
Mhm.
Martin, those guys watching. I'm going to the track meets, watching from the fence,
Okay.
just thinking, oh man, well, that would be nice to, whatever. And then my science teacher, this is how I came off for track. My science teacher, he had left the room one day and he had this little birdie thing that would just kind of go, dip into this water. So he left the room. I jump up on top of the table. I try to see if I could make the birdie's head go faster, and the thing come crashing down. And then all of a sudden, the teacher walked in, but he didn't know who did it. So I told him, I said, yeah, that was me that, that broke that birdie. He said, I tell you what, you're going to have to come off for track because he was the assistant track coach at the time. Richard Jacobson.
Okay.
He used to coach at North as well. So I was like, okay, as long as I'm only doing the high jump, I'll come out. But I came out that following year. So sure enough, my sophomore year went out for track and field. Jim Cook was the coach at the
Okay.
time.
Yes. Yes.
Jimmy Cook.
Coach Cook.
Yeah, they call him Cookie. Rest in peace to Coach Cook.
Yeah.
Sophomore year, was a pretty good season. I was following the footsteps of, like Terrell Johnson, a couple other the track athletes as well. And I was like, you know what? Let me try like the long jump. Let me try like the triple jump, those kind, those events or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I didn't do too well. I sucked at the triple jump. I'm telling you, it was like because we practiced in the hallway.
Okay.
Because it was indoor season. We obviously didn't have an indoor track, so practice in the hallway. Coach Cook taught me it. I was man, I cannot do this. This is horrible. I was horrible at the event. So,
Mm.
sure enough, uh, I think I probably jumped 42, 41 was probably my furthest in the triple jump. The following year, my junior year, things got a little better. I got a little stronger. End up qualifying for state my
Yes.
junior year
Yeah.
in the long triple and the high jump.
Right.
End up breaking the triple jump record, the same event that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Broke the state record in the triple jump. And then my buddy Tyrone Minor, which
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
Tyrone Minor, he won the triple jump, but his jump was wind aided
Yeah.
with 49.8. I jumped 48.9, and yeah, and I won the high jump that year, my junior year as well too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now talk about the following year as far as track and field,
Okay.
because the following year, your senior year, you and another person accomplished something, I don't know, that has been accomplished since. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So who you referring to? And is my little brother Martez Williams. Rest in
Yes.
peace to Martez.
Yes.
Him and I, we played basketball for Henry as well. Martez was a multi-athlete, multi-sport athlete. He did baseball, football, basketball. Um, what we did was kind of unheard of. It was just two of us that won the state meet by ourselves.
Yeah.
It was just me and him. I won high jump, long jump, the triple jump. He took second in triple jump, third in the long jump, and second in the high jump.
Mm-hmm.
Those points together, I think we had like 44 points, and we ended up winning the whole state meet. So the funny part was, they're announcing, the winners, from third place to first. So me and Martez is kind of hiding around the corner and around the stadium. And we said, okay, they haven't called our name yet, and it was okay, second place, Minnetonka, okay. And then first place, man, when they said our names, we came sprinting around that corner. Oh my God, we still got the, obviously the pictures of it and whatnot, but and then when I went to college, I was told that they have this thing called a true team meet,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, what is that all about? They said, well, they didn't want that to happen again. Two people win the state meet by themselves, so they
Mm-hmm.
came up with this whole another situation and stuff. But yeah,
That's real interesting. Yeah, I can still remember you and Martet running around on the victory lap.
yeah, it was
And it
just
was just the two of you.
yeah, hold the trophy.
Yeah, so that was interesting. What as you look back, what did that moment really mean? When you really look back at it now, it's
Yeah.
different when you're younger. But what do you think of that moment now?
What I think about is how Martez and I we actually was preparing for that day.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually Henry was closed, the track. So we jumped over the gate and we went and we practiced by ourselves. We were
Mm-hmm.
doing like, bounding the whole football track back and forth with rest. And we was like, we're determined we're gonna win the state meet, me and
Mm-hmm.
him. So that's exactly what our goal was. But I think that whole situation just really, when I look back at it, just let me know like if you work hard at something,
Mm-hmm.
you can really, achieve your goals,
Okay.
So it was something that I was like, man, we did that, and we're like 16, 17 years old,
Yeah.
we had a goal to win state. It was unheard of. You got Edinas, your Minnetonkas, and these teams are like, 100 to 200 strong, and we're
Hmm.
got two brothers from over North Minneapolis,
Yeah.
in the jumps,
Yeah.
just went
Yeah.
took the whole thing. So yeah,
Man. Talk a little bit. You also played basketball
yeah,
in high school, and y'all had some pretty good, lot of talent on that team.
yeah,
Talk about your experience on that because I know they called you Leaping Leonard way before you played basketball,
yeah,
and then you ended up living up to that
yeah,
on the court too. But talk about your experiences playing for Patrick Henry during those times.
yeah. So let me just tell you this real quick.
Mhm.
So how I got those hops, a lot of people didn't really notice, but I used
Mhm.
to backflip for the Leo Johnson crew back
Okay.
in the day. Me and my buddy that I grew up with, we used to do backflips
Yeah.
down the marching band, down Plymouth, in St. Paul, the
Yeah.
Rondo days.
Hmm.
So that built up my calf muscles. So that's kind of how I got my, and I was probably in middle school, elementary, whatever. But I just had to throw that in there because a lot of people are like, why did you? And then I used to walk around with ankle weights a lot of times.
Okay.
But my experience with Henry was amazing, man. We used to, it actually started off, the Clyde Turner basketball camps.
Yeah.
I'm just name a few guys like Prentice Perkins, Martez Williams, Dennis Winfield, Anthony Starks, Leon Crutcher, Rodney Williams, Eddie
Hmm.
Creighton, James Taylor. Rest in, peace with
Rest in
those
peace.
guys too.
Yes.
And we just had a Gail Smaller, a lot of those guys, man. We just gelled together. But even this is I'm talking regarding my junior and senior year.
Hmm.
But we had like Rob Watson,
Yes.
you had Howard Chris, Curtis Johnson, Terrell Johnson, those guys,
Yes.
John Miles.
Yes.
So a lot of those guys, we actually looked up to those guys. Like I said, I was a freshman, me and Dennis Winfield, that was playing varsity. So we really didn't get a chance to play all the time, but there
Mhm.
was some games that, Coach McKissick, he'll throw us in, like one time I got in against Edison, and I threw a nice little no-look pass to a guy, the crowd went crazy. Oh, what is he doing? But made the basket. But the experiences was so cool. I remember going back to the Clyde Turner apprentice and we would like practice the alley-oop play because I really see it a lot in high school.
Hmm.
So me and apprentice, we would like practice it at the Clyde Turner basketball camps.
Okay.
Sure enough, we brought it to the city and we played against Christ Household of Faith. We called it CHOF.
Yeah.
And that's what was my first alley oop play. And all I remember, Prentice throwing the ball up, and people were just looking up, seeing like what was going on. And I just came out of nowhere, just boom, just dunked it on like two or three people. And from that point, we called that play chop. Prentice would hit his shoe,
Hmm.
tap his shoe, and then sure enough, but North caught on to that. They say if he tap his shoe, y'all better watch out because he's coming. But
Oh, okay.
I would tell those guys, I said, guess what I'm getting ready to do? And as soon as he tried to answer, I'm taking off, and this was too late. But anyway, yeah. So those are some of the great moments that I had with Patrick Henry.
Okay. Now, you went on to St. Thomas.
Yes, yes.
Um, did you have any other offers from different schools, or what made you come to that decision to go to St. Thomas?
So I was listening to your previous podcast, but that Proposition 48 just messed up a lot of people. I think
Okay.
back in the day.
Mhm.
So I was I won't call it a victim, but I was part of the whole Proposition 48. So I actually had opportunities to go to the U, Kansas, Clemson, Georgetown,
Mhm.
you name it. I had tons and tons of offers to go D1 for track and field.
Yes.
Um, Loyola Chicago offered a three package, me, Dennis, and Prentice to go there to play basketball.
Wow.
Yeah, but we turned it down.
Mm.
So my decision to go to the University of St. Thomas because one, I didn't have to sit out my first year, which
Mhm.
Proposition 48, you had to sit out your first year. And plus, I'll be able to play basketball and track.
Okay.
So that was one of my, and plus my parents, family can come to the games, and they offered me a full ride. So I was like, "Yeah, I can't turn that down." So, and I didn't want to be that person that have to sit out the first year because I don't know what that would even look like. Because I've seen too many athletes that would, go to college and come back home, that, they're done kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to be that person. So I was like, you know what? I was told University of St. Thomas has a great education.
Mhm.
You'll get good jobs once you leave out, kind of thing. So that was my main decision to go
Did
to
it?
St. Thomas.
Did it? did it matter to you that it was a Division III school, or it was, did you just look at it more like it was a great opportunity for you, regardless of the
Yeah,
level?
I think Division III that kind of played a part in it, because everybody coming out of high school wants to go D1.
Right,
That's the
right.
the idea to go D1.
Hmm.
But my main thing was to get an education, because I wanted to be a teacher, or at the time I wanted to be in the music.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I wasn't really focused on that piece. But when I actually did started competing
Hmm.
at the Division III level in track, I was competing against Division I athletes anyway. At the Drake relays, those type of places
Right.
anyway. I
Yes.
had opportunity to jump against Mike Conley,
Hmm.
in the triple jump. But yeah, that's a whole nother situation. But I saw Carl Lewis run, and different Michael Johnson. I've seen all those people run. I'm at that same meet competing.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So track kind of unifies at all levels.
absolutely.
I guess is
Oh
what you're
yeah,
saying, because it didn't matter that you were at St. Thomas or
it
wherever you
didn't
were.
matter.
If you were good enough, you were going to those meets, and you
Absolutely,
were competing with the best.
absolutely,
Okay. All right.
absolutely.
Now, what was your career? How did things start out at St. Thomas?
Hmm.
Did you come in right away and jump over everybody, or jump out and start setting records? And did you make a statement right away, or did you get there and realize that you might still have some more work to do? Or
I think so. When I got to St. Thomas, I actually, coming from Minneapolis, I don't think I was prepared mentally and even on the education level to be at a St. Thomas type of a school.
Mhm.
So in August, I had the opportunity to go to like a pre-college, courses, and to kind of
Okay.
get my head together, to be prepared for St. Thomas. But when I got there, a lot of the athletes they kind of knew who, or not even the athletes, some of the people kind of knew who I was on campus.
Mhm.
It was like, why are you at this school? You could be, whatever. I was like, I'm here just like everybody else to get an education. But one thing, I didn't play basketball my first year
Mhm.
at St. Thomas, but they had these like open gyms, and I'm in there, letting
Yeah.
them know who I am, so to speak. The students that were there, student athletes. But yeah, that's kind of how that started off.
Okay. Now you're, I think maybe your junior and senior year
Hmm.
is kind of like when you started to accomplish quite a bit
Yeah,
in track and field. But during that time, if I remember, you could correct me if I'm wrong. Um, you also played football,
I did.
and you played some basketball, right?
I did. So, I want to say my junior year, I played football for the University of St. Thomas. I played football. The football coach kept trying to get me to come out for the team. I'm like, dude, I'm a track athlete. I hope I'm not playing football. I didn't even play in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't play not a lick in high school, but he wants me to play in college. I was like, I'm looking how big these dudes is. I'm like, no, I'm good, man. But I was, I thought about it. I said, you know what? Let me give it a shot. Went out, scored touchdowns. I
Mm-hmm.
was, I had a 4.240.
Mm-hmm.
I was a wideout for St. Thomas. And I ended up playing 3 years, my junior year, senior year, and my fifth year. I
Okay.
played football. Played basketball there. So there was one particular year I played all three sports. I played basketball, football, and track, and had to carry like 12 credits, in college. So that was a
How was
tough
that?
year. It was tough. It was very
Okay.
tough. So I had to discipline myself to make sure that I'm, not going out, hanging out, like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. It was like, no, I have a goal set and I needed to stick to it. And I had to make sure I maintain my grades because obviously, if you don't maintain a certain grade point, you won't be able to compete. That's never been an issue because I was like, I have to compete. This is like my life, so to speak.
Okay. So you graduate. What was your degree in?
My degree was in physical education, minor in coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what'd you do from there?
Well, so there was a Q program that was held at the University of St. Thomas. So I got involved in that it's like a 13-month program. and to teach in elementary.
Mm-hmm.
But the unfortunate piece happened to me. Someone broke into my dad's house when I was staying in North Minneapolis during the Q program,
Mm-hmm.
and I had all my lesson plans, I had all my work, and there was no way I was gonna be able to replenish it and do everything over. So I had to drop out of the program. So the license that I had, the provisional license I had, I was able to do some substitute teaching. So I
Mm-hmm.
ended up teaching at Henry, and then I ended up getting a provisional license. I was a fire ed teacher at Henry for about 3 years.
Oh, okay.
I taught, physical education and health. And then
Okay.
I taught at North, our rival school, for a couple years too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that walking into
I
those
know that
buildings?
was it. That was interesting. I mean,
How
yes,
did they receive you when they found out you? Well, some of them knew you, but
yeah.
did the students react anyway? Did you let them know that you like went to Henry or?
Well, I think a lot of the students probably didn't know, but the ones that I previously had at Henry, they knew. They just
Mm-hmm.
figured I was just a new guy, teacher
Oh,
coming in.
okay.
Yeah, but the kids over at North, I mean at Henry,
Well,
was
they knew.
salty.
Yeah.
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 But the other piece was Dr. Mitchell. So I remember because I was coaching track
Yeah.
at North, and Jeff Cook was my coach at Henry. So I used to coach with him when I was in college. Like my fifth
Mm-hmm.
year, I coached track when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
So those two went to St. Thomas together. Lee Belfield
Yeah.
and Jim Cook.
Yeah.
So they went to college together. And then here I am, went to St. Thomas, and I'm coaching with these guys, but I'm on the other side coaching at North. And, those guys, boy, I was just watching the little
How
battle
did
out.
how did Coach Cook take it?
He was cool with it.
He was cool with it.
Yeah, he was cool with
Okay.
it, but they remind me of the odd couple back in the day. They were just always
Uh-huh.
just arguing about any little thing, but they were cool. Actually, Lee Belford was my first basketball coach. That's where I got the name Leaper Leonard
Uh-huh.
when I was coaching. When I was under his coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, when he was my coach in middle school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Man. Now, who are some of the people that influenced you?
okay.
Um, whether it be, in education,
Mhm.
in sports. There's always somebody, you look back, you don't think about it while it's happening,
Yeah,
but you look back and you go, you know what, man, there were a couple of people that like really helped me get to where I am,
yeah,
even though, when you're young, you think you got there by yourself.
yeah, for
But
sure. Yeah,
as you get older, you look back and go, that person really helped me or brought me here or talked me into this, or
yeah.
who were some of the people that influenced you
I would say,
and continue to influence you today?
yeah,
Yeah, just put it that way.
I would say several people, if I can name a few, that played a role. One was my dad,
Mm-hmm.
you know, my pastor at the time, rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
He would always stay on us.
Who was your pastor?
His name was Rufus Thibodeau.
Rufus Thibodeau.
He
Okay.
passed away. Yeah. Um, Larry Burgess, who was the assistant
Larry
coach,
Birch.
yeah,
Yes.
who also had passed away. He
Yes.
was definitely
Yes.
influenced. Coach McKizak was influenced.
Yeah.
It was something about Coach McKizak
Mm-hmm.
that really drew me to him. His tenacity.
Mm-hmm.
His coaching style. It was just something about him. His charisma. I think I would say
Mm-hmm.
that. Because he always would just say he would give us the 3 Ds: determination, desire, and dedication. He was always like instilled that in us, and I would always keep that in my head, my mental, in my heart, kind of thing. It's like he definitely played a role, but also I would say some of the athletes too, that I would look up to, going like your Brett McNeils, Doug Carter's. Like I really looked up to a lot of guys over at North, because we used to always see them on TV, like Dan Bannister, those kind of
Mm-hmm.
guys. So I would say some of those guys just kind of paved the way, paved the way for us to really like think about things on a bigger scale, as far as like leadership roles, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. You were at rest his soul. You worked Clyde Turner's last camp.
Yeah.
Um, talk about. I know you all participated in it. Yes, and then you get to work with him.
Yeah.
Now, what was how was that? What was that like?
So I was hoping you asked me that question. Well, seeing that I was a camper with Clyde Turner, I think I may have been maybe a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
and I would just watch. Matter of fact, Clyde is definitely one of those people that influenced me too. You
Mm-hmm.
know that.
Hmm.
As a matter of fact, I even got his Clyde Turner shirt on right now as we
Hey,
speak.
yeah, good. Oh,
But anyway,
I'm
yeah,
glad you did that straight up.
yeah. Um, I would say being a camper there and just watching, because he would have moments where he would bring speakers in to speak with us and give
Mm-hmm.
us that serious moment. What are your goals? What are your dreams? And I'm sitting there, listening in, because he would bring in, former NBA players, former NBA players, or current NBA players,
Mm-hmm.
and they would give us life lessons, um, and encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then 4 years later to come back and be one of the coaches at the camp, that was,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to bring back some of the things that was instilled in me. I
Yeah.
was able to give that back to the other, the campers, that were below us. I won't say below us, that were, coming up in the program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then just recently, before he passed, he had asked me to be a guest speaker at the camp that he had,
Okay.
and I'm like, wow, I felt it was such an honor, especially seeing that I used to be one of those little dudes that's, looking at, oh, this guy's, like my idol kind of thing. And then now I'm this person, giving back to the young people, letting them know, like, this is where I came from, this is where I am kind of thing. It's like, you guys can do the exact same thing kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was very influential.
Man, I'm trying to think. The last um the last time we talked before this,
Hmm.
um we talked about a person who influenced you during your track and field at St. Thomas,
Hmm.
Von Shepherd.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God.
wanted you to just say, if was there anything you learned, rest his soul, was there anything you
Yeah.
learned from him? Um, and Von was, St. Paul Central,
Yeah. Yeah.
that by a big time athlete, went to
Yeah.
Nebraska, played pro ball, and was a very ended up being a very good administrator
Yeah.
in schools. But I remember you telling me he had a big influence on
Absolutely.
your life as well. Could you talk a little bit about that?
So my first experience with Vaughn was seeing his name in the program that had the long jump record that I was trying to break when he was,
Hmm.
when I was in high school. So I'm thinking like, man, 24.9, man. I don't jump 24.4. I'm close, but I just didn't quite get there.
Hmm.
And then 2 years later, he's coaching me at St. Thomas,
Hmm.
in track and field. He had introduced me to, the coach had introduced me to him, and I'm like, oh man, you the guy I was trying to break your record. But he was showing me all the different things that he learned. He was just telling me, showing me, just relax. He's just real calm, that
Hmm.
kind of demeanor about himself, and I would just watch him and just listen to him and take his advice when it came to for track and field because he also coached football as well too
Okay.
over at St. Thomas. So, and I would say he played a good role when I qualified for the Olympic trials in
Okay.
'92.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that piece, but yeah, he really played a role in getting me there, and then I was really trying my best to for the '96 Olympics when it was in Atlanta as well too. But yeah, he played a really good role in my life, as far as like because he was working on his masters when he was at St. Thomas.
Hmm.
So I'm just watching, just watching his growth, as I'm growing as well too. And I was like, man, I like what he's doing right now. He's a positive black man, getting things done. And there wasn't a lot of African American men at St. Thomas when I was
Right.
going there, and to see that he was doing well for himself was something that I really admired.
Right.
Yeah,
Now you're in two Hall of Fames that I know of. That's
three.
so
Yeah,
so I know you're in Henry's.
yeah,
I know you're in St. Thomas's.
yeah.
What's the third one?
The NCAA Hall of Fame.
Okay. Now how does that feel when you look back at your career and
Yeah,
you're in the Hall of Fame at your high school,
yeah,
you know, in the division that you competed in,
yeah.
and then your college.
Yeah.
What is how were you feeling when all of that was going on?
So, that's a good question. I was inducted into Patrick Henry High School's Hall of Fame in 2001
Mm-hmm.
for basketball and track.
Mm-hmm.
And then that same year, I was inducted to St. Thomas's uh, Hall of Fame for track and field.
Okay.
And then 2012, I was inducted to the Division III Hall of Fame, for track and field there. And then to think back on it, I'm like, man, I was like, it doesn't really. I can't say it doesn't feel like, because I've put in some work.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely put in the work, but it just, for them to honor me like that, I'm just so humble and appreciative for that.
Mm-hmm.
To, like I go to St. Thomas and I look on the glass and see my name,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of deal. Or look up, my name is like two lines away from Edwin Moses,
Yeah.
the hurdler in the
Yeah.
NCAA. I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm like amongst these guys. It's an honor. It's an honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, as a as an educator now,
Hmm.
um, what do you what do you hope um for our children? What is your how can I put it? What do you want them to do or succeed, or how do you want them to succeed?
One thing that I would like to see our young people is to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to you.
Mm-hmm.
One, you get free education, depending on what school you go to,
Mm-hmm.
and just really listen in on some of these people that are giving you some of this advice, that's gonna, they're not gonna steer you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of our young people think they got it all together, so to speak, and kind of, I've talked with the kids all the time about like what are some of your goals that you want to do like once you leave here, because
Mm-hmm.
these 4 years are going to go by really fast. And I tell them that, even like I taught in the middle school as well too. I was a dean in the middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have some students that went from sixth grade and graduate. I'm like, I watched you from a sixth grader to a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so what's your plan now? What do you plan on doing? Some of them, they know exactly what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Others have no clue what they want to do in life. So my goal is to start them young, as I've obviously freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what do you want to be in life once you leave these four walls? Do you want to be a teacher? You want to medicine or whatever it is that you desire? You got to shoot for it now. Don't waste the time thinking you got time, because the time is gonna fly by, and then before you know it, are you walking across that stage in June or not?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. And I really hone on that with those students, to make sure that they have a backup plan. Because a lot of people, especially in the athletics, they think that, oh yeah, I got the NIL, this is gonna happen, or I got this. It's like, okay, that's cool, but make sure you have a backup plan too, just in case something doesn't go right for you.
um, Trying to think. Do you have any goals or anything else, things that you might want to accomplish
Hmm.
that um that you haven't reached or you haven't gotten there? Is there any?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One, I'm a songwriter
Mm-hmm.
and a singer, and I would love to write a song that gets a Grammy or like a BT Music Award of some
Okay.
sort. That's
Okay.
one of my goals. Also, to be an administrator, as far as like assistant principal or a principal of a school, because
Oh.
yeah,
Okay.
you know, go- I keep saying I'm going back to school, to get the admin stuff, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
things happen, so. But that's been like my main goal, is to try to finish up and get my administration license and
Mm-hmm.
be able to be a school principal. I
Mm-hmm.
always had that dream since I was in elementary school to be a principal.
Um, how important has your family been in
Oh
all
my
of
God.
this?
Yeah. So my mom has been my biggest fan
Mm-hmm.
from, birth to now. She goes to my shows. She, always got my back on things. My kids always, support me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my dad, of course, always, support me and whatnot. And then, some of my close friends,
Mm-hmm.
family to me is like everything. My close family, the ones that, people say that, if you're not blood, you're not family. A lot of times that's, some of your other folks that you hang around with, they're
Yes.
closer than some of the family that you have. I have several people that I call my brother and my sister, that are super close to me.
Okay.
So that just means a lot to me, especially if they got your best interest when they want you to succeed. They want you to do well in life. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely family plays a great role.
Now, how I'm still curious. How I'm still curious about this. How did you how did you get involved in music? Like how did that come about? I would see you singing and all that. I'm sitting there
Yeah.
like, how, okay, this dude was one of the best athletes around. What's he doing singing? Like
So
how did that happen?
I'm gonna take you back. So in high school, I sung in the choir at high school.
Okay,
So that's kind of where that was. And then growing up, I sung in the choir at church, that kind of thing. Matter of fact, I sung in a choir a couple houses down from where you live.
okay, I
On
know exactly who you're talking
yeah,
about.
on the corner, that church on the
Yep,
corner. Yep,
yep,
Peace
yep. Peace
Tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up singing there.
Hmm.
Reverend, oh my God, Reverend Graham, rest in peace.
Yes, yes, Reverend
Reverend
Graham.
Graham, yeah. So, but even like at my track meets, I'm listening to Commission. I'm listening to the Winans.
Hmm.
Everybody else listening to whatever was going on.
Oh
I'm listening
yeah.
to like my little gospel music, and I'm singing, or I'm in my dorm room. I'm in my dorm room singing. One time at church, a lot of people didn't know I sung, so I sung a solo
Hmm.
at church, and church went crazy. It was like, oh my God, this dude is up here singing. He's the athlete kind of thing. But yeah, that's kind of where it started. And I was actually in a gospel group called Eastside. It was like Curtis, Terrell, Anthony Johnson,
Oh
uh,
my goodness.
my boy Michael Dixon, and my boy Charles. It was like 5, 6 of us, and we would like do different shows. They used to have this show called, what was it? It was South Minneapolis. Oh, I can't. It'll come to me, but it was not too far from here.
Hmm.
But anyway, commission would come to town, and we would go watch them. And then one time we ended up performing at the same one. But yeah, so that's kind of how music, became part of my life, man.
And
I
now
love it.
and now it's
Yeah,
part of your goal. You something you want to reach.
yep,
You want to reach even further.
man. We like with Sounds of Blackness. I had opportunity
Hmm.
to travel to Japan,
Hmm.
um, all across the country, just going different places, and we still got different shows. Like we're going to be performing at the state fair. No, I'm sorry, that's with the other group. I'm in two groups,
Oh,
but
okay.
so I'll be performing at what is it? Taste of Minnesota with Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, and the Time coming up real soon here.
Wow.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
that's got
a
to be.
couple of weeks. Yeah,
No, that's got to be something, man.
yes. First of all, let me just tell you this real quick. So I went to a Prince concert,
Hmm.
and the Time opened up. It was at the Excel Energy years ago. And if Prince didn't even come out, I was good because the Time tore it up.
Hmm.
Man, they did all the hits, man. And I was with Curtis and Terrell, all those guys. We done ran down to the front and just watched the show. And then Prince came out and everybody was he just blew everybody's mind.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's Prince, yeah.
Okay, come on now.
Right.
Of course, of course.
But yeah.
Trying to see. Is there any moment uh during your athletic career? I'll say I'm gonna ask you this: high school, one from college, and then one from your experience um as a musician.
Hmm.
Is there anything that stands out? Like I remember when this happened, or
Yeah.
I remember when that happened, or it could be like someone told me this before the meet and I didn't even know or whatever.
Yeah.
What stands out? We'll do high school first.
Okay. I would say, what's this? Can I do two?
Yeah, you can do two.
So the reason why I said it because it's funny to me. So when I think I was maybe a sophomore, we was playing Washburn, and I was going up for a layup, and it felt like I was going up in slow motion, and like three guys jumped up from Washburn jumped up at the same time, and I just flipped it over, just dunked on all three of them, and the crowd just went crazy. Folks was running around. It was crazy. And then at the camp, Clyde Turner camp,
Mm-hmm.
they had was talking about that, that situation or whatever. Said, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
man, dunked on about three of us." It was like, but the other one I want to tell you about. So we were playing Harding, and I was telling this story at St. Thomas, like to the athletes. I was like, "Yeah, man, I remember we was playing Harding, and this dude tried to take a charge on me, and I jumped clean over this dude and dunked on him." And then my boy Louis was like, "That was me."
Louis,
Louis like, "That was
yeah,
me."
Louis from Harding, yep,
Yeah.
Louis
Louis tried to
Francisco.
take a charge. Man, I jumped so high up over that dude. It
Oh
was insane.
man,
Um, College.
yeah,
So I had just qualified for the nationals in the long jump, high jump, and the triple jump. And I was picked to win all, three. It was for the indoor season. When we got off the plane and we was about to go in the hotel, there was cameras and lights and everything just waiting. And I'm thinking like, man, what's going on here? They was waiting to see me, to interview me for, because this was about to be history. I
mm-hmm.
was the first person to ever, I would be the first person to ever win the long triple in the high jump in any division,
Mm-hmm.
whether one, two, or three.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about that during the interview. So that was definitely something to remember as far as like on the college level. Um, but the sad piece was I won. Well, I won't say sad. I won the high jump, long jump, triple jump in the indoor season, and then I qualified for the 100, the high, long, and triple for outdoor. I was picked to win those four, but I
Mm-hmm.
hurt myself. I pulled my hamstring in the MIAC at McAllister that year.
Oh wow,
I had just won the long. I just won the triple and the high, long, and triple, and it was the 100. And I pulled my hamstring running 100. I was about to run a 10-2 or something like that, and I blew
mm-hmm.
it up. I was like, and I couldn't even go to nationals.
Mm.
And I would have won like, six titles that year. It would have
Mm-hmm.
been crazy, or seven. But yeah, those are memorable. I would say right now,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say my experience with Sounds of Blackness performing in Japan.
Okay.
When I tell you, man, it was the most yeah, it was amazing. We were just talking about this. I was watching how the people would react to us, when we're doing our dance moves and whatnot. They're out there doing they're trying to imitate what we're doing, the dances, and they're singing
Yeah.
every single song. And then one lady came up, we were in the dressing room. We're beat tired because it's like 14-hour difference. So we're beat tired. We did four shows, two in Osaka and four in Tokyo.
Okay.
So we're beat tired, and this lady came in our dressing room, and she was just like, "Oh my god," she just started bawling. "Oh my god, Sounds Black." So we gave her a hug, signed
Mm-hmm.
autographs, whatever. And at the end of that particular show, there was a long line waiting to like, people to, for us to sign an autograph,
Yeah.
just meet and greet kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing experience because right now you're here in Minnesota, people you don't know, just like, oh, it just sounds like, hey, what's up, Land or whatever. But you overseas or whatever, they just love and adore you. But those are some experiences that really stand up to me.
Okay.
I do want to mention that I didn't say this other person that was very influential was your pops, man, Kwame McDonald. Oh my God,
I appreciate that.
yeah, man, I definitely can't forget that. Yeah, yeah. I remember when you used to. Oh, I was gonna say this here. You were the first person that I had my article, a news article. I still have that one to watch. You wrote that
That
long
was like
time ago.
I think that was like a paragraph I wrote or
Yeah,
something, right?
yeah, my very first news article, one
Okay.
to watch. I would think I was a freshman.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
talked about like y'all need
Yeah.
to
Because
watch this guy.
we were working at Henry at the time. That's
Yeah,
how we met you guys.
yeah,
That's right. Okay.
yeah.
I'm a I'm a I'm gonna give you I want to give you a chance to say as we wrap up
Okay.
say anything that maybe I didn't ask you, something that you want people to know,
Hmm.
and then I'm gonna end it with a story of how I saw who you were.
Okay.
But you go ahead. Is there anything? It doesn't have to be. Is there anything that you want to mention that?
Let me see. I mean, just the opportunity to, to do the interview is an honor, and I appreciate bringing me in to
Okay.
to do. I thought you was gonna have like my boy Prentice or somebody next to me. We could be sitting there
Uh-huh.
just going back and forth, talking to you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think about like some of the guys that I grew up with, um, like Prentice Martez,
Hmm.
even like I don't know if you remember Bucket,
Yeah.
yeah, some of those guys,
Yeah.
man, just all those guys just growing up, man. We're all grown men with kids, some of
Hmm.
us are grandparents now, that kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
And I think it's just amazing to just see the growth of everybody. Like Gail Smaller is doing really good as well
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Um, but I would just say for those students or whoever's listening, if you have some goals in life and you want to achieve them, write the vision down and make it plain, and just go for it. And don't give up. I got this song that I was writing called "Don't Give Up." It's like, uh, don't give up, never give in.
Hmm.
You got to keep on pushing. This is nothing but a test. You got to keep giving them your best. This is nothing but a test.
Okay.
So you just got to keep pushing on, because a lot of times we fail or we think we're gonna fail. We won't even try.
Hmm.
So I would just say, just keep on going. And like Wayne Gretzky said, you miss every shot you don't take. That kind of thing. So just keep pushing on, man. There's something you want to do in life, no matter what it is. Like I bake cookies too. That's the other thing. They call me the cookie man. I forgot. I gotta mention that part too. Oh my God, I forgot.
You bake
I
cookies.
bake cook. I bake some of the best cookies in America. No, no, but yeah. So I'm known for the cookie man, especially with sounds and my other fellas that kind of.
Okay.
So
All right. No, now when you were in 10th grade,
mhm,
that was when me and my dad were working at Henry,
yeah,
and you guys were in my first class, and you and Prentice and then all those guys were in the
mhm,
class. But before you came into my class, Prentice was there,
yeah,
and Prentice is a character into himself. But you could do a whole show on Prentice.
yeah,
But I remember everybody talking about what a great it was basketball. So what a great basketball player he was, and this and that. And we were in the hall. Me and Dad were standing in the hallway, and he said Kwame Mitch. He said you think I'm a good basketball player? He said there's the best athlete in the school right there, and he was pointing at you.
is that right?
And yep, and all you did was look up. All you did was look up and smile. And I remember my dad looking at me and going like this. He was like him, like because you just walked by and you were just smiling.
Yeah.
And then and then after we he saw you play a couple of times, and then he said, well, he said one thing about Prentice. He said, hey, he's not a liar, like that. He told the truth. But I just remember that was the first time that I saw you, and then of course we obviously became attached to you all because we worked there
Yeah,
at the time, and that was like, and how far we go back, that's our that was my first teaching job.
man,
So it really goes back. I want to thank you
absolutely.
for
Thank you.
stopping by and being a part of this interview. This is Blacklight on Sports with Charles Hallman and Dr. Mitchell Palmer McDonald. Charles Hallman is currently on assignment and will be back in the next podcast. I
Sorry you
want to
couldn't be
thank
here, Charles. Because I know we would have had a good time talking
you.
to you.
So I want to thank you, Leonard.
Thank you. Appreciate it.